Hi there, welcome back. So in today's video, we're going to use these molds. Now, we got these from a supermarket and our local Hobbycraft. So the one by Whisk there, the first one, is from Hobbycraft, and the second and third one here are from our local Morrisons supermarket. Unusual, I know, but we thought let's give it a go. Lovely autumn themes as well, using some of the lovely mica powders from Resin, which is what I'm just showing you there, oranges, browns, and so on. And that is a beautiful, almost like grass green chrome powder, which I think is for nails. But look at the detail on these molds. Excuse my dirty gloves. Yes, just been doing another project. But I love the detail in these molds, love them. Anyway, the darker greeny blue colour there is a matte mould, and this paler green one is got a shiny finish to it. So we're going to get two different types of finish to this. So lots of these bits and clips of this video, or in this video, have been sped up because dusting mica powder onto molds takes a while. I took my time doing it. Use the usual method that we do, which is just loading up a dry bristled paintbrush, regular paintbrush, or makeup brush, whatever you have, as long as you're just using it for crafting. Dip it in the pot of mica powder, shake it off, tap it against the sides to get rid of the excess, and then brush it into the mould. And it should stick to the mould. Now, obviously, we haven't used these kinds of moulds before. Very excited I was actually to use these and try them in a project. Just wanted to see, would all the detail come out? How would the silicone fare with the heat that it happens when you get your resin and hardener together for epoxy resin? Would the molds stand up to that? I really hoped they would, because obviously these would normally be used for baking or making chocolates or candies and things like that. Obviously, if you're going to have a set for doing that, you need to have a separate set for using for crafting for doing this kind of thing. But look at that. You can probably see what these are like. Look at them. Love them. The colours are beautiful. Got quite an orange glow light for some reason as well in the video. No clue why that was. But I was sat near a window and we did have lots of sunlight streaming through. So that was the matte moulds done. These ones have got a slight shiny surface. Now I went more with just your greens in these ones, hoping to see what we'd get. I think I did put a little bit of orange in there somewhere as well. But the Let's Resin mica powders, yeah, I'm just a little bit obsessed with them at the moment. They do a box of 60 and they are fabulous. Obviously you use whatever mica powders you've got, the colour theme you want to use, because you don't have to just restrict this to autumn or fall season. You could have a wintry theme one, you could have a winter theme one, summer, spring, all of those. Look at those two together, they look beautiful. I love the acorns. Right, this is the bigger mould. So this is those two moulds really, but on steroids. Much bigger. They took a lot longer to do, hence why this is on a bit of a time lapse, to be honest. And yes, did use quite a bit of mica powder. Now you don't have to do the entirety of these molds because these ones are quite deep. The other ones as well are also quite deep, but I did get away with being able to use just regular epoxy resin, 1:1 mixing ratio. You could use a deep pour if you wanted to, but no, we thought we'd try it. Why not? This is a first, this video. First of time of using this mould, first time seeing what the mica powder would turn out like, and also with resin. So that's all them done and dusted, literally, and then cleaned up. Now, I did make up what I thought was going to be enough resin, but it wasn't, so I did have to make up more. And now I'm just putting in a concoction or potion mix, it felt like, of adding in some of the mica powders that we'd already used into it. Little bit of black pigment paste going in there, which is by Vista. And I haven't said it before in this video, but everything we've used in today's video will be linked in the description box. Should you wish to purchase anything, there we go. And all I did there was I did what I think another artist called Jules from Resin Jules, hi to Jules, she calls it the smoosh. So if you've put mica powder on top of resin before mixing it in. You just spread it out slightly to the sides. It stops it from clumping when you mix. But I mixed thoroughly. So I mixed the hardener and the resin for a good 5 minutes, and then I mixed the mica powder and pigment paste in for another couple of minutes till it was thoroughly mixed. Right, so this is the filling up of the molds. And again, it's been sped up a bit because I took my time doing this. Now, this is a smaller mould and I didn't quite trust myself pouring it out of the rather large jug I had without doing lots of spilling and pouring everywhere else. And I didn't want to create a lot more mess. So I did start off by just putting it in there off of the spatula instead. And then I got a bit braver, as you can see, and I used the jug. There we go, almost done with that one. I did go around the edges of these molds as well on the inside, just with a micro brush, just to make sure there were no little bubbles and air pockets that could stick there and then obviously ruined your cured piece because you don't want little air bubbles in them. There we are, that's the second one done. I did also spritz them with a bit of isopropyl alcohol. Helps to get rid of any bubbles that come up to the surface. Put it to one side with the other one, and also with the larger one, which you're going to see me filling up now. And yeah, left them to cure. But did go back in about every half an hour I did a couple of visits back to them just to make sure there weren't any air bubbles that had come up to the surface. And if they were, I just spritzed them with some isopropyl alcohol and they all disappeared. By all means, cover the molds if you want to whilst they're curing, if you're going to leave them to cure overnight, or put them in your curing machine, that's fine. We don't have a curing machine, so I did put a cover over these. As you'd probably noticed there or spotted there, had a bit of spillage. You also got a little bit of a sneak peek at another video that's coming up, that little pumpkin pot. We will say no more. But this is the demold. Now, these were big. These are heavy. These would act as very good paperweights. Very good paperweights. There we go. So they all came out of the mould quite well. The mould held up for the most part. There's no rigidity to it. So as you can see there on the edge of that leaf, there we go there. It collapsed a little bit there. So you probably need to provide some support underneath the mould and at the sides, just so that it can hold up to the weight and the curing process that the resin goes through. But I love that. I love the gold with the silver. Look at this one. This one's got more of the orangey red tones with the green as well. Sort of mottled look to it. Now they are quite big, and as you can see there, we also had the mould collapsed a little bit on the side of that one too, but that's fine. And look at this. This is beautiful. Mainly oranges and golds in this one. There we go. There's the three side by side. Very autumnal, very much the shades of leaves that you'll see on trees. Now, these, look at this acorn. My God, that's very bright. It's very orange. It's very brown and very gold, which is lovely. I like that. This one, more golds and browns with a hint of that beautiful green colour. And this one was more of your browns and golds. But absolutely beautiful. Got a little bit of overspill to deal with there, which I'll show you how to deal with a bit later on in the video. Very happy with those, but they are chunky pieces. Here's a little bit of a flyover so you can see them. Look at that, the colours. Mica powders look stunning, absolutely stunning. Here we go with the demold of all the smaller pieces. The leaves and the acorns, beautiful. And we've actually got some pine cones as well in this one. Now these pieces, you're not actually going to see a finished project here. This is just how to make these, and also having a look at seeing how these molds stood up to the particular kind of media. And by media, what I mean is mixed media, so the crafting, what we're using, mica powders, epoxy resin, and so on. But they're beautiful. As you can see, we've still got a bit of clear up to do with the overspills. What you can use these for is you can put a little drill hole into the top, but going down, not from front to back, but from down. Drill into that. Now you can use your Dremel, you can use your multi-tool, whatever you'd normally use. Take the finest drill piece you've got, drill down into the top. You can screw in an eyelet screw. You can secure it with a bit of super glue if you want, or a little bit of a little dab of UV resin. Don't forget to cure it. And then you could attach it and make a beautiful hanging decoration for this time of year. So I'm talking bunting, but obviously bear in mind the weight of these. You could add it to some green foliage if you've got some faux green leaves and things. You could make them into the hanging garlands there. You could make them into centerpieces for your table. You could decorate candles with them. Obviously, if you're going to decorate candles with them, make sure they're the faux candles, or that you put, if you can get the little wreaths. I mean, we've got some willow wreaths that are quite small, and what I'm going to do is add some of these to that and then put one of our lovely faux candles in the middle, and you've got a gorgeous little extra something to decorate your interior for this particular autumn or fall season. To be honest with you, probably going to do the same for Christmas, the same for spring, and the same for summer. Why not have a beautiful garland wreath for every occasion in your home? You know, the garlands and wreaths and things aren't just for Christmas. You can use them whenever, wherever. Here's another little flyby here. You can see them. I love the colours. As I said again, the mica powder is stunning. You don't have to use mica powders. You can just use a solid opaque resin if you want. Totally up to you. You could use glitters. Wow, glitters actually would look gorgeous too. So this is me just tidying up all those little overspills of resin using a very sharp pair of small scissors, and just going in and just sped this next little section up because I took my time to do it. I'd repeated this process with all the other pieces, checked them over, made sure that there were no little sharp edges anywhere. And then the next thing, once you're happy with everything you've got there and that you've trimmed everything up, of course you can use a deburring tool if you want to, but I probably wouldn't on this one because there's so many different edges and things to it within the pattern. But there we go, more or less all trimmed up. This is the bigger one. Now this was a bit thicker, so the scissors had a bit more work to do just because of the thickness of the overspill, but managed to get that sorted. Did the rest of them. And then what we have done since making this video is we've made these and added them to a garland and a wreath and also a beautiful candle decoration. So it would look stunning anywhere in your home and lovely as a gift. Now, yes, the gold gilt paint is out and I'm just painting up the centre of these leaves. So this is where the veins of the leaves would be, and I thought I'm just going to paint them up. Wiped away the excess. I used a silicone tip tool there and just a piece of kitchen roll to do so. There we go. Let them dry. Apply another coat if you want to. You could, if it's wide enough, that gap there, which it would have been, you could have made up some UV resin in whatever colour you want, or maybe in some glitter, and put that in there as well. Now, I am also applying a little bit of gold to these lovely acorns because, you know, why not? And it's me. So just using a brush, dipping it in the little paint pot there, and then just putting it in the places where I thought the gold would just highlight it and emphasize it. Now, that bit underneath there, I'm just trying to draw the gilding paint down slightly to try and blend it in to the acorn part. Just trying to get rid of those little lines and things. Now, this one was really tricky. Excuse the state of my hands. This one was really tricky. I tried using a micro brush. I tried using a very fine tipped, I don't know what they call them actually, Q-tip type of stick thing. Q-tip stick thing. Goodness me, not very technical. It worked and it didn't work. I had to rub off the excess in the end. Now, I came a little bit unstuck with the matte finished ones. The ones that I got that weren't in the shiny mould, because when I came to try and blend and rub off the excess, it didn't work quite as well as the others. But it still worked. I think so anyway. So these are the pine cones. Now, I didn't think they were pine cones to start with, but it was actually Wayne, who is one of our other creators here at Lottiejasminedesigns, actually said to me, those are pine cones. Anyway, here is the flyover. Look at them. They are beautiful, absolutely beautiful, and they do look lovely. Excuse the mess that you can see surrounding there. Yeah, we need to do a big tidy up. So here's the final shot. As I said, there's no pictures of the finished pieces that we've made, but this was just to give you a bit of inspiration if you and where you can find other molds from that you can use with your crafting. Thanks for joining us again today. Hi and bye to everybody in the live chat. Take care. Happy crafting.